Hello everyone, it's Ruben here with my Stamina Necromancer PvP build for the Elder Scrolls Online Elsweyr. So this is a very nice build that can definitely take a punch. You can also do a good amount of damage and really debuff enemy players with your setup. But the build really shines and focuses on like the Ravenous Goliath form, which at the moment seems like it is a little bit OP. So, you know, I do expect a nerf for it, to be honest. Like, the damage with it is just like, it's fucking insane, man. With the bash attack you get in the form, it just absolutely what the fuck. So anyways, if that will happen, of course I will update the build and swap it around, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. So the build, it is very easy and a lot of fun. You can play it both in open world PvP and non-CP PvP like Battleground, and you can just bash your enemies towards Narnia. If you ever wanted to know how it feels like, you know, to be the Grim Reaper, you know, just mowing everyone down, then this is the perfect build for you, because you can just keep doing that for days and kill your enemies. So without too much further ado, let's get started in the gear setup, the rotation, CP, and everything else you need to know. So let's go over the gear first of all. As always, we are using 2 Bloodspawn along with 5 Fury. I always want to say Fury, man. Getting exposed here every time when I want to say that set. And we're using 5 Afflicted. Now the 2 main sets you really want to use on a build are Bloodspawn and Fury. Afflicted, you can also use Viper or even a crafted set such as Hunnick's Rage to increase your damage even further. Afflicted is nice to apply Minor the Fell to even further reduce like healing done on your enemies. But like I said, you can also choose to go really for like damage hits, so you can really like have even more powerful bash attacks with the build. Now all traits you want to go Impenetrable with maximum stamina. So Impenetrable with maximum stamina. On jewelry we have 1 Infused with reduced stamina cost, 1 weapon damage protective, and we have 1 protective with stamina recovery. You can also choose to go 2 weapon damage or 2 stamina recovery. That is really up to you and your playstyle. So one-handed sword, Nirnhound with poison damage, and shield sturdy. You can also do Impenetrable along with maximum stamina enchantments. Two-handed sword, Nirnhound with increased weapon damage. Now you actually want to run an Asylum on the back bar. If you have Asylum, that would be really nice, because when you are using the Execute, that will give you increased ultimate generation. Recommended races are number 1 without a doubt. I would pick a Red Guard. If you want to go for this setup, definitely go for the Red Guard. Best in slot for this setup. I currently have a Nord because I also want to play this as my health tank Necromancer. So that is why I am on the Nord at the moment. So number 1 Red Guard. Other good races are Nord or Orc and even Wood Elf. Those are some other useful races. Now Boon Mundus, I am using the Serpent Mundus. And for food, if you can afford it, go for Artium Takeaway Broth. If you cannot afford the Artium Takeaway Broth, you can always go for something as Dubious Cameron Throne or anything like that that increases your stamina recovery, max stamina and max health. Attribute points, we have put everything into stamina to really increase our maximum stamina, because we already get a ton of health from using heavy armor. Now in regards to the gear setup, it would be really good if you can go 5 heavy and 2 medium, or 6 heavy and 1 medium armor. I currently don't have Undaunted, and once I have the passive unlocked, I am going myself for like 6 heavy, 1 medium armor piece. So 6 heavy, 1 medium, or 5 heavy, 2 medium. That is the setup you should be aiming for. Of course, unlock all the passives from the classes. So Gravelord, Bone Tyrant, Living Death, all passives. All 2-handed and 1-hand shooter passives. All heavy armor passives. And of course Alliance Warrior Wanton, Reach, Combat Frenzy and Continuous Attack. And all the racial passives as well. And always never forget this one, Additional Use from the Alchemy as well. A very, very important passive. So let's go over the skills that we are using. First, on the one hand in Shoe Bar we have number 1 Blighted Blast Bones. It applies major defal to enemies for 4 seconds, and which reduce their healing, receipt and health recovery, and it also deals a good amount of disease damage. Number 2 we have Heroic Slash, second ability from the one hand and shoot line. Number 3 is Ruinous Guide. Ruinous Guide is our damage slash a little bit of healing. You get some healing by using Ruinous Guide as well. Especially nice to use when we don't have figure unlocked when you start out in PvP. Number 4 is Reverberating Bash. Reverberating Bash is nice because you can stun your enemies, and it also applies major defal, which decreases their enemy healing, receipt and health recovery. Number 5, this is where you are going to slot figure actually, and figure can be unlocked from the Alliance Assault line, but while I don't have figure unlocked, I like to slot invasion, so I have a nice gap closer slash stun. Ultimate, most important part, Pummeling Goliath. We have it on this bar. I would recommend to slot the one hand and shoot ultimate on this bar once you have it unlocked, and then you have the Ravenous Goliath on your 200 sword bar. 200 sword bar number 1, we have Beckoning Armor, second ability from the Bone Tyrant line, and Beckoning Armor is really good because it grants us major resolve and major ward, increasing our physical and spell resistance. Number 2 is Spirit Guardian. Spirit Guardian is the 4th ability from the Living Death. You want to keep this one up at all times. While active, 10% of the damage you take is transferred to the Spirit instead. Number 3 is our Execute, the Executioner from the two-handed weapon line. It's the 4th ability. Number 4 is Restoring Tether. So Restoring Tether can be found in the Living Death line, and it's the 5th ability. Here you can find it. Saving the last remains of a life from a corpse, healing for 9.2k health over 12 seconds to yourself and all allies between you and the corpse. And last but not least, we have Forward Momentum. Forward Momentum is very important because it grants us major brutality. We cannot get major brutality from the Necromancer itself, not from the class line. We really want it for the increased 20% weapon damage, and it activating this ability removes all snares and immobilizations from you and grants immunity to them for 3.5 seconds. So it also functions as a purge. And like I said, the ultimate that you will slot here is actually the Pummeling Goliath, and then on the one hand and shield bar you will have the one hand and shield ultimate. So the champion points, we have 81 CP in the tower, 37 in bashing focus and 44 in warlord. The lover, 43 in Moonkelf and 11 in tenacity. And of course the shadow, 47 in befall, 44 in tumbling and 44 in shadow ward. If you are lower on CP, then I would recommend to put your points firstly of all in befall and Moonkelf. So if you like CP 160, if you're lower on CP, Moonkelf and befall, those are the two important ones, and a few in bashing focus and warlord as well. Then the apprentice, 32 in blast, increase your healing done, 25 physical weapon expert and 66 master at arms, 56 in mindy, 56 in precise strikes and 35 in piercing. If you're lower on CP, get a few CP in mighty, precise strikes and also a few in blast, as these will be very nice and useful, and a couple of points at master at arms. So if you like below CP 160 or CP 300, then spread it out evenly between those four when you're starting out. And then the steed, 56 in Ironclad, 52 in Resistant, 44 Thick-Skinned, 43 Hardy, 43 Elemental Defender, and 32 Quick Recovery. If you're lower on CP, you definitely want some points in Resistant for PvP, very important as always. A few points in Ironclad, and then Hardy, Elemental Defender, and Quick Recovery. Just spread out the points evenly every time. And those are the champion points. Now we of course going over the rotation. Now I got a little bit of a different setup than on the website, and the main reason because of that is because I don't have figure unlocked yet, because you always gotta unlock figure. While we are unlocking figure, I currently use invasion, where I am planning to use figure. Now how the build overall operates is, first of all, you have, as always, you have a couple of abilities you want to keep up at all times. The first one is Forward Momentum. It heals us a little bit, but more importantly, it grants us major brutality, increasing our weapon damage by 20%. Apart from that, you want to keep your Spirit Guardian up at all times as well. It will heal you for 1000 health every 2 seconds, but while active, 10% of the damage you take is transferred to the Spirit instead. And Beckoning Armor is very important as well, because you want a major resolve and major ward. And while active, enemies that strike you with ranged attacks will be pulled towards you once every 3 seconds. So Beckoning Armor, Spirit Guardian and Forward Momentum, you want to keep those up at all times. So you now know which abilities to keep up: Forward Momentum, the Spirit Guardian and Beckoning Armor. Overall, you can start with an opener like Blasted Bass Bones, as it takes a while for it to summon, and it's a timed ability like you can see. So if you open with this and then actually go in your opponent while pressuring him, you will have several abilities to hit him at the same time. If you get low on health and when facing multiple opponents, it's nice to use Rubensky, as it's an AoE attack and you will heal for if you hit several targets. Now, the strength really is in a build when going into pummeling Goliath, because you see how strong it can be, especially with one-handed shield. So because of this, it's really important to keep your light attacks and heroic slash up as well. A light attack along with a heroic slash will give you a very nice ultimate regeneration, and that's where you can quickly get your Goliath form up. If you're facing an opponent that is healing, you can always quickly use a Reverberating Bash to stun them, or you can summon the skeleton again. The skeleton will have the advantage that it will leave a corpse when it dies. So with the corpse you can get extra healing by using Restoring Feeder, but it also needs some more time and it is easier to avoid than when you are using something like Reverberating Bash. Along with that, you just keep up a heroic slash, keep up the Blighted Blast Bones, recast it when needed, and use a Reverberating Bash to stun your enemy. When your enemy gets to low health, you swap to your two-handed bar and you quickly use Executioner. Now when you go in the Bone Goliath form, or well in the Pummeling Goliath form, it is very important that you keep your buffs up as well, and you can weapon swap. So a light attack with your two-handed bar will increase your damage, then you swap and you use the bash attack like this. Overall the quick slot will be like this: you have to block and that is bash. But if you're going to use the Goliath form, it is really recommended that you put the bash on a separate button. So normally you have to use block and then you bash, but it is really recommended to not do this, because if you do this, you will also be blocking and you will run out of stamina really quickly. So here you can go interrupt. I still have interrupt the standard way, so I can easily CC break. But I also slotted it to a different keybind, so I can just spam number 7 to spam bash. And this way, like you can see, I still keep my stamina recovery because I'm not blocking and bashing at the same time. So you really want to change that. You really need to change that, because now I'm just getting no stamina recovery when using bashing. You see, my stamina goes down really quick. And if enemies are hitting me, then it goes down even faster. Whereas with having it slotted on a separate bar, I can still bash attack. It's simpler, but I also keep my stamina recovery. If you're getting low health, use your figure. If you don't have figure, use Ruinous Kite along with Restoring Teeter, and make sure you keep your Spirit Guardian and Forward Momentum up as well. Enemy gets to low health, use Executioner, and like I said, keep up the light attack along with Heroic Slash for some very good ultimate generation. And that is pretty much all you need to know about the build. I also like to use Heroic Slash when I am in the Goliath form to CC my enemies, to snare them a little bit, and it's easier to keep them in a place. Another thing that you could be looking into is Grave Grasp to really snare them in a place and also inflict minor maim to them. And you can weapon swap when in the Goliath form, so definitely make sure you make use of that. So that is all there is to know. The build is also written down on the website learneso.net. Gold guides, grinding guides, what class to pick, crafting guides, whatever you need. It's linked underneath in the description. Have a great day. Bye bye. See you in Tamriel. I'm out.